Do you ever feel like you're stuck trying to choose between trendy or timeless kitchen design and just wish you could have both? Well, in this video, I want to dive into a few items or a few of those design elements I'm starting to see around the kitchen design space and discuss whether or not I think they're trendy and, here for a short time, loved by everybody, and then out the door, or something a little more timeless that is gonna linger. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So when I think trendy, I'm thinking about those design elements that sort of just rush into style. We see them everywhere all of a sudden. They're in blogs, internet articles, on magazines. Whereas when I think timeless, I'm thinking more classic, elegant design styles that have been around for quite some time. Now, that's not to say trendy elements can't be classic or design. And on that note, just because something is trendy or in vogue and popular and we see it everywhere, doesn't make it a bad thing. After all, trends are kind of just like ideas that we can use to put together our own spaces. And after all, we're human beings. We're people of groups. We like to be in groups. So why not take part in some of those trends, put them in our houses, and just know that they might not be in style or popular forever, but that's okay. Okay, so first up, white kitchens. Now, I'm seeing a lot right now of white kitchens are bad, go away white kitchens, color is in, white is out. And I sense maybe a little healthy debate down in the comments about this topic. Is it trendy that's maybe going off trend, or is it a timeless design element? Well, I think the white kitchen is timeless. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. It is still incredibly popular among our clients here at Homestead Studios, and I don't see it changing. It's one of those design elements that, again, it's classic, it's timeless, and it's going to stick around. However, I will admit that white kitchens can definitely be overdone. We're sitting here having an internal debate about whether or not I like white kitchens, and that kind of led to an internal debate of whether or not there's any kitchen design style kind of as a whole that I dislike or like. And to me, it really comes down to the house. Some houses just suit certain styles or certain design elements better than others. So maybe you just have a house that is more suited to a white kitchen, or you might not have the budget for some of those more exotic finishes. However, I do see a lot of cases where we have houses that could go multiple different angles, could go different directions in terms of maybe some color in the cabinetry, or maybe a little bit more dark and moody and some black tones, and we kind of steer back into that white category. And that's fine, because white is a safe choice. It always will be a safe choice. It's not going out of style in the next 5 or 10 or 20 years. It's just that classic white kitchen will always be here. But I'm going with timeless for the white kitchen. It's bright, it's airy, it's always clean feeling. And the nice thing is white's a neutral. It's going to provide you that base from which you can build off of and create that sense of personality and your own sense of style in the space without blowing the budget every time your own sense of style or your sense of design changes. You can kind of insert elements, pull out other elements, and then keep that white kitchen as your base. Next up on my list is natural stone countertops. And we've talked about countertops a lot lately. Maybe too much. And you might be thinking, granite's been around for ages, and marble's been around for centuries in design. But what about those newer elements, those quartzites or soapstones or even onyx, those new kids on the block? Are these just trendy newcomers, or is this something that is going to stick around for quite some time? And many of you know, I've sat here, I touted the benefits of quartz, and I'm always kind of leaning in that direction, and it still would be the top choice for me. However, I do think all these new natural stones are going to be timeless, and they're going to blend right in with that granite and marble, and we're going to see them for ages and ages. As much as I love quartz countertops, it's just because of where we are in our life right now, and it's where we were in our lives when we renovated the kitchen. And if we weren't in this house, maybe in a different house, one that isn't destined to be a teardown in 10 to 15 years, we would have gone with a different choice. There's definitely part of me that loves the idea and is excited for the idea of putting soapstone counters in. Something that's going to develop that patina and its story over time. It's almost romantic in nature. I also think we've developed this idea, maybe more so in North America, where our kitchens always need to look perfect. Our houses always need to look perfect. And any sort of chip or nick or dent or ding or scratch is like an unmitigated disaster. But we want all that while we use and abuse these spaces to keep up with our everyday lives. And in reality, we should almost revere those marks, embrace the scratches, the dings, the dents, the nicks, all of it, because it's a sign that we've used and lived and loved our kitchens. those dings, those marks, all of them are going to be associated with memories, and they're going to transport us back, maybe happy memories, maybe sad memories, but it is a sign that we've loved and used our space. That takes me to number 3, another controversial topic, if you will, and that is open shelves. They're still everywhere. And you know, we've always had open shelves for some time. There's always been a few in a kitchen or a few in a space because some items just are stored better on an open shelf. Cookbooks, beautiful bowls. However, we're still seeing a lot of kitchens where we have that tile backsplash that runs all the way to the ceiling and the wall is just full of open shelving. So is it a trend? Is it something that's timeless or maybe becoming timeless? I'm gonna say trend. Now, that doesn't mean you can't enjoy it, take part in it, like it, and use it in your spaces. After all, you're all smart people. You know what you like and want for your own kitchens. But I do think it is more of a trendy design element, and maybe it is starting to pass. We have a question on our design questionnaire that goes out to all of our clients, and it has a question specifically about open shelving. And normally we've always had a few no's and yeses, and it's kind of a mixed bag. This year has been a lot of very emphatic no's, typically written out in capital letters. The reason I think this is a trendy versus timeless element is that it's just not that functional for most people. You know, many of us have mixed dish sets, we have multiple different types of bowls, we have different types of glasses, we have kids' plates and bowls or sippy cups, just things that maybe aren't the prettiest to look at. But maybe you have a collection of some beautiful bowls or pottery, or maybe a really fancy collection of cookbooks, and you want to show that off. You want to have that on display. After all, that's a bit of your personality injected into your space, and I love that. I've talked about that in past videos, that we often don't put enough of our own personalities into our kitchens. But most of the time, I think we just want to hide our mess behind some closed doors. Kind of set it and forget about it, not necessarily have every person that comes into our house see it. And I think we're starting to see that. We're starting to peel back on a lot of the open shelving we're seeing in kitchens and really only including it where it makes sense. Moving on to number 4, I have sky-high cabinets. I'm talking about cabinets that run all the way to the ceiling or close all the way to the ceiling, and they're finished off with some sort of crown or molding to make them look built in place. I'm really starting to see this more and more, whether it's in magazines like Dream Kitchen and Bath or Architectural Digest. Heck, even the architecture magazine I get from my Opa, it's like all about actual architecture, has shown kitchens with cabinets 10 feet off the floor. So is this a trend or a timeless design style? Honestly, I think this is becoming a timeless design style, if it isn't already. In many ways, we've actually been trying to replicate or create this look for decades. You know, we constantly had soffits or bulkheads, and builders were shoving them above the cabinets in order to make it look like the cabinets went all the way to the ceiling, so you didn't have that sort of awkward dead space up there. And on that note though, builders, please stop. Just please stop putting those in. We just tear them out eventually anyways. The most common complaint I hear about tall cabinetry is that you're going to need a step stool or a ladder if you're like my wife, and it isn't functional. But I would completely disagree. I've never had someone tell me, I have enough storage. I don't need it. Yes, those cabinets are going to be high, but we all have items that we do not use on a daily basis. Maybe it's those Christmas themed glasses or a serving platter that only comes out at Thanksgiving. You know, I had one client tell me, it'll be a great space for that bread maker that we use once, put away, and never use again. From a design standpoint of view, high cabinets are great. They help draw the eye upward and make the room feel bigger and our ceilings feel taller. And for most of us with 8 or 9 foot ceilings in our homes, there's nothing wrong with that. Finally, at number 5, double everything. One no longer seems to be enough. So, you know, when I sit down to design a kitchen, I'm thinking about movement, functionality, zones, making sure the space actually functions to work in. I want to make sure there's enough storage, but also the right kind of storage where we need it. However, I'm seeing more and more kitchens with 2 sinks, 2 garbage and recycling centers, or heck, even 2 islands is starting to become more common. So is this going to stick around? I don't think so, or maybe I really just hope it doesn't. So I'm going with trendy. I think this need for 2 of everything in our spaces is more a byproduct of kitchen size, and this might be more related to North America than the rest of the world, but our kitchens just seem to be getting bigger and bigger. So no longer is everything just a few steps away. You know, we're meeting our daily step goals just by working in our kitchens preparing 3 meals. And all of this isn't to say that double anything in your kitchen is bad. There are definitely some spaces that are suited to having 2 islands. It just works for the room. Again, going back to some elements work for a house, some white kitchens work for a house. Not everything needs to be suited to everywhere. And there might be a very specific reason that you want 2 garbage and recycling centers in your kitchen. Maybe you want 1 in your island and 1 by your sink. Again, totally fine. I just think this idea of having 2 of everything that we're seeing more and more on TV and magazines is more of an exception than the rule. Well, that's it for me this week. Please don't come after me down in the comments. I'm not meaning to offend anyone by talking about this. This is just my take, my thoughts on some of the most common things I am seeing in kitchen design right now. And you know what? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know down in the comments below. Let me know if you enjoyed this and want to see more of them. As always, thanks a ton for watching. Until next time, bye-bye.